Thank you. So Mark Diltz, he's going to come up, putting the work and networking. That is his speech title. And Mark, you are in the third, in your third order of strategic relationships. Is that correct? All right. Take the podium, Mark.
Hi, I'm Mark Diltz. I'm at work with Case New Holland, where I simulate virtual crop material flowing through combines and other farm machinery. I used to design electric cars and make 3D movie cameras, but then I decided to go back to my roots. I've spent many hours working in the hot sun in the field testing equipment, so I definitely appreciate being able to sit at my desk and do everything virtually. One of the things that really excites me is when I can make a subtle tweak to geometry and from that get better performance. What excites you? So that is an example of an elevator speech. And as the name alludes to, it's a short introduction, ideally something that can be presented in an elevator. So the short time that it might take you, you meet somebody that you're networking with to get up to the next height in the building, you can give that little bit of a speech. It's something that you can have prepared kind of in your back pocket if you need to tell somebody who you are and what you do. My latest Toastmasters project is concerned with networking. And 3 of the lessons that I learned from that was the elevator speech, preparing for networking opportunities, as well as following up. When I say that I'm putting the work in networking, that elevator speech is one example in that you have to do a little bit of work beforehand to get prepared. So I want to tell you about an opportunity that I had, the first part, preparing for opportunities, to go to a conference at ASABE in Boston, Massachusetts. That was just about a month ago. And that's, as a professional conference, it's really a great opportunity to do networking where networking is kind of expected. So maybe it's the easy side of networking. But nonetheless, I did a little bit of work. One of my goals, I wanted to meet 5 new people that I hadn't met before at this conference and build my professional network that way. So once again, I'm going to talk about preparing for networking, having the elevator speech, and then following up with people. So at the conference, one of the things that they had was an official networking event. So that's slam dunk, easy. Preparing for networking, go to the official networking event. There I met a grad student from Purdue named Paul. He's working with radio frequency waves, grew up on a farm, and wants to stay in farming. But he wasn't sure how he could continue and form his love of radio waves along with his love of agriculture. Now luckily I had been through this conference previous years and knew some guys that actually were using radio waves to measure grain moisture content and grain mass inside grain bins. I don't know how you can combine radio frequency and ag much more than that, but I was able to point that out to Paul and make that network connection to connect Paul with the other network that I had established previously. And that was in a formal event. Now in an informal event, I got to use my elevator speech. So I met 2 guys from Germany, Florian and Johannes, who were dealing with simulation. And after their presentation, I was able to walk up to them and introduce myself. Coming from Germany, they weren't as familiar with CNH, but they had a little bit of an awareness of it. And by being prepared to make those connections, I was able to have that courage to go up there and do that. Another case where I find that having the elevator speech really helps, maybe you don't have to deliver it exactly, but having the preparation and the courage to make those network connections. At the professional events, we had dinners and lunches in a giant room, the tables, you would have to sit down. And I used to always go into those and sit down with the people that I knew. But at this event, I made a conscious effort to say, hey, I'm gonna find that table with people that I don't recognize that has 1 or 2 empty seats, go there, introduce myself, and network that way. And that's how I met Scott, who's actually an engineer that works at our competitor, John Deere. But I was able to talk to him, and we had a great interaction some of the common challenges that we all face. The last thing is following up. I've got a good friend of mine from high school. I only get to meet him every few years, but I usually email with him a couple of times per year. He actually lives in Boston, and so that was a great opportunity for me to have dinner with him, follow up. And in the past, whenever I see something that's of interest to him or his company, I try to shoot him an email and keep our friendship going that way. And it was Alex's turn to point me to a company that he had become aware of that does some technology for establishing location. So he provided me that information. And what Toastmasters taught me was that you do what you're going to say you're going to do when you follow up. So I told him, hey, I'll shoot you an email. I'll find some people at CNH that would be interested in this. And that's what I did. I came back, I found out guys that would be interested in it, shot him an email. He connected me with that company. And now we've got that new company that's going to be talking to guys at CNH, all because of the network. So I hope that this has been kind of an interesting way to see how you prepare for networking, have an elevator speech, and then follow up with those networking events. It's not just for professional. I generally think of networking as something that you do when you're looking for a job, but this was a case where I was able to network to build connections within CNH. But it also has application if you're looking for friends or in your own personal life. So I hope that's useful. Thank you.